Welcome to LivingFuel TV. I'm KC Craichy with special guest Leonard Smith, and great friend. Great to have you, Leonard.
It's great to be here.
We're continuing this series on discussions with Leonard on really cool stuff. Today, we're going to focus on superfood nutrition and why it's important. You've been a user of LivingFuel products for, we talked about today, 7 years, something like that?
Well, it seems like about that long.
A long time. So Monica was particularly interested in knowing why someone of your level of knowledge use and recommend what we make. So things like our Super Essentials Omega here, EPA, DHA from sardines, GLA. In fact, you're one of the first people who understood why we put GLA in with EPA and DHA. You remember the discussion we had on that? The GLA blocks the COX-2 and becomes more of a prostaglandin 1 and 3 as opposed to 2?
Right. Exactly. You need 1 and 3. You don't need very much 2.
Or arachidonic acid.
Right.
So you're one of the first people to actually even understand that. But that's our super.
If you take the GLA without the EPA, it might go to arachidonic acid, so the EPA helps drive it to the first one. But this is probably the most well-accepted product in mainstream medicine today is the essential fatty acids. And I think we need to not just call them fish oils, they're essential fatty acids, essential being the word. You're not going to make them, so you must take them. Now you can get them from plants, and I think some people get them that way, but the way to get the amount we need is through a high-quality oil concentrate, and to actually balance it with both the 6 and the 3, and even with the vitamin A and D.
And the astaxanthin.
And the astaxanthin is a very smart idea. Astaxanthin actually helps protect the oils coming through the gut, even going to the cellular level. I saw a paper on that. It was very interesting. So it's a very good product, and I mean, golly, you look at the literature.
On fish oil?
It's all over the place. The latest one you got, did you see the one about depression?
Yes.
I mean, I feel sorry for all the poor pharmaceuticals, but they basically concluded that most antidepressants are really just a placebo. And the fact is that fish oil worked better than the antidepressants for depression.
You know, Dr. Stoll from Harvard, in his book Omega-3 Connection, 5, 6, 7 years ago, said that fish oil was actually the best treatment for bipolar of any medicine out there. And now you're saying that antidepressants have been shown not to work, except for the placebo effect. I contend that they do work. They work to make people more depressed and increase the risk of suicide.
Well, the problem about it is when you, like with an SSRI, which stands for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, you're actually, like if these are the cells, this is cell 1, this is cell 2, this cell actually releases serotonin. It goes over here and has a signal, comes back and gets reabsorbed and then sent back out. But these drugs actually blocked its ability to reabsorb. So it just, from a very almost natural perspective, and we find that so many times with pharmaceutical drugs, is when you really monkey with nature, you can get by with it for a short term. I mean, I still write prescriptions, but I do it for very short terms. Long-term use, invariably, either the drug doesn't work right or it comes up with a bunch of other things. And the fact is, what is it that the oils are doing? I think the other thing that we've known now for probably at least 20 years, but the nucleus of the cell is important, but the cell membrane is maybe even equally important. You could almost say the nucleus is the violin and the cell membrane is the violin player. The nucleus is the computer. The cell membrane is what actually tells it how and what to compute. And that cell membrane is covered with receptors that is receiving information from the environment. And if that cell membrane isn't flexible and functioning optimally, it's like having a microphone that doesn't work. You hear some muffled noise, but you don't get the message. So what do these oils do? They really are critical in the cell membrane. Now, it's not just omega-3 and omega-6. You do need some trans fats. You need some monosaturated oils. As a matter of fact, there are companies now that you can even do a finger stick and look at your red blood cell membrane, both essential fatty and metabolic fatty acid levels, so that you can tune it. So everybody needs periodic oil change and tuning with the right oils, and this is a good start right there.
Well, you know how our design is basically the thing that differentiates us with anything else out there is that you can live on our product line. You can have it in your bomb shelter, you can have it whatever, in hunting, and you can live breakfast, lunch, and dinner for as long as you want to go. And people say, oh, you got to have food. What do you mean? It has more calcium and vitamin D than milk, and more potassium than bananas, more resveratrol than wine, more protein than half a dozen egg whites, more phytonutrients than 10 cups of yogurt, and more friendly bacteria and, more phytonutrients than 20 servings of fruits and vegetables. Probably a lot more than that, frankly. So why is it? And I know that all those reasons are the reasons that you use LivingFuel, but why is it, what should people know about getting everything your body needs in terms of all the phytochemicals and all the antioxidants and the fact that they're broad spectrum antioxidants against all 5 radicals?
That's a great question, and frankly, it's one of the reasons I've recommended supplements for people for a long time. But I think, and I still recommend supplements on some level, but I think this is the next closest thing to eating organic food in its natural form. And the natural form means raw or very lightly steamed. I mean, some argue that there's certain nutrients you get out of cruciferous vegetables that are better steamed than raw. But so I do both. I eat them raw and eat them steamed, but also eat them in a powdered form. I think the reason that supplementation, and this is a form of supplementation, but it's pure food, it's powdered food. I think the reason it's more critical today than ever is because of the toxicity on the planet. I think we're under more stress than we've ever been, both psychically and you never know about that. I mean, I'm sure people that live in the Middle Ages had plenty of problems. But all I can say is that what I've observed today in my lifetime as a doctor, I think we need concentrated food that will give us more antioxidants and phytonutrients for optimum health. Now, you can eat that through eating an all-raw vegetarian diet. That would include vegetables and fruit and seeds and nuts and sprouted legumes and sprouted grains, but that's very difficult, and time-consuming, and a lot of people don't care to eat that way. And I don't know that you need to, but I do think you need to supplement with high levels of not just antioxidants, but phytonutrients. That analogy I was giving, if this is the cell and this is a cell membrane, the fact that membranes are loaded with receptors, they've actually shown that whole foods, and so certainly these freeze-dried powdered foods of the same sort would do the same thing when they get absorbed in the blood. When they sit on the receptors, there's molecules called protein kinases that take the message to the nucleus. And the nucleus is very complicated, but let's keep it simple. The messages it receives are either basically, we like you, we're going to upregulate our genetic transcription for everything we need to make to take what you've brought in the cell and utilize it perfectly. Or it's neutral, we're not sure what to do with you, and so we're not going to really maximally put out what we can do. Or the third one is, you look like an invader, and then what we do, we're going to have TNF, or what's called NF-kappa B, which is a nuclear receptor, send the signal out to, literally send the signal out to have the white blood cells to upregulate the production of TNF-alpha, interleukin-1, interleukin-6, all of these inflammatory signals. It's like the cell's way of saying somebody's trying to kill me. That's what happens when we eat processed, chemicalized, hydrogenated trans fats. And the truth is, if you even eat too much of the right food because of the elevation of the blood sugar and the effect of too much insulin, there's a whole lot of stress signals that go on in the blood that affect cell signaling.
Great stuff, Leonard. A lot more to Superfood Nutrition than we thought, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
And we're learning more every day.
Well, we hope you enjoyed it. God bless you and have a great day. We wish you super health.